Welcome everyone. It's time for webinar. This is the success planning webinar. I'm Johan Nilsson and I'll be running this webinar. I'm the CEO and founder of Start Deliver. And just a reminder to everyone, if you haven't been in one of our webinars before, you will get all the material. You will also have a chance to ask questions in the end of the webinar. And you are more than welcome to send email questions, or just book an appointment with me in my calendar below. So great to have you. Today we're talking about success plans or success planning. And to start with, why? What is that, and why is it important? And I wanted to share with you a quite new study or survey where they looked at 350 SaaS companies and they looked at net revenue retention rates. And as you can see here, the median NRR was around 100%, which is more or less that the same amount of money ARR renews every year. But you can also see here that some of these companies have NRR that is above 100%, and they're up to 150%. And of course, that type of business will just keep growing on existing customers. And if you go down on the scale here, you see some companies that have down to 60% NRR, which means they will have a tough time keeping the customers. And this is where the importance of success plan come in. Because when you look at net revenue retention, basically what drives net revenue retention is the churn rate you have and also the expansion you have. And success plans come in after onboarding, I would say. That's the most important thing with this. Is onboarding is typically a quite clearly defined process. It's also a lot about setting up things, training, and so on. And we have talked about onboarding in detail previously, and it's a really important part. But success plan is what do we do after onboarding? And if you have 8% churn, your average customer stays for more than 12 years. So onboarding is just a small part of the journey with the customer. And hopefully we'll have lower churn, and then it's even more important to have a next step and to always keep developing the customer. So this is, in a nutshell, is what success plan is about. And we will, of course, go into this in much more detail. And I see a lot of times that we do a lot around onboarding, and then the customer, hopefully they get up and running, and then we just leave them, and then all of a sudden there is a churn. This is when you lack success planning, basically. Because the other way is also that if I mean, of course, this can happen by chance, and the customer can drive this by themselves as well. But if you have real success planning, you will see expansion, and you can plan for expansion. And I think that's also something that sometimes is forgotten, that we see customer success being we keep the customer in, we avoid churn, and that's doing our job. But actually, when you think about it, if we don't see expansion on a customer that's been with us for a while, that's a bad sign. That's actually a risk, because things has to go forward. And I think this is something that's sometimes missed, and especially if you're not working with success plans, it's hard to know how to drive this. So remember this: if you don't have expansion on an account or on a customer, that is a bad sign. But you can do a lot around that, and that's what that's the topic of today, and we're going to go into that in more depth. Another thing, when we talk success plan and you talk customer planning, account planning, whatever you call it, we see a lot of things that are issues. People struggle with this, and that's something we want to address today as well. And one part is that you have these customers' plans, and they are big and they're high level, and they really don't help you in the day-to-day. That's one part. Another part is that they are too complex. That you have a big PowerPoint, or you have a document that you did when you got the customer, and then it's never updated, and it's just in some drive folder somewhere, and it's not really being used. But the most important thing, I think, is that most of our plans are from our side. We see a potential here. Maybe they can grow. They can add licenses. They can add users. They can expand, and that's from our perspective. But we have not included the customer in our plan. What is it the customer really wants to achieve here? So some of these issues we see quite often as when we talk planning and on customer level. These are some of the common issues. Also, when we talk success plan, I think it's easy to, I mean, there's so many buzzwords, so many concepts. So before we go into the details here, I just wanted to zoom out a little bit and talk about other concepts that you might heard of, that you might be working with, just to clarify things. So value proposition, desired outcome, goals, milestones, actions. What's the difference here? How do they fit together? And where are we going to go into? Where does success plan fit into this? So the value proposition, that's of course what you offer to the market. I'm going to use an example here to try to make it more concrete. And this is no news for anyone, I guess, but just to clarify things and to put everyone on the same page here. So I use a CRM system as an example. Maybe their value proposition is that they want to make it easier for businesses to grow. That's why people, that's why they're on the market. That's the reason of being. So that's on a general level. We use that they probably use that in their marketing and so on. Desired outcome, this is going more down to one specific customer. Why did this customer buy our solution? And if we're a CRM vendor, maybe their desired outcome was to they want to grow sales by 25%, as an example. This, you can elaborate a lot more on this, of course, when you talk on a specific customer level, but just to give everyone an example to work with. Goals, we go down one level deeper here. So goals, and this example, it could be that this customer buying this CRM system, they want to grow with 25%, but they have a goal now that they want to get all their sales reps to complete 2 more appointments per week by the end of the second quarter, for instance. So this is one level one level deeper, one level more concrete. And then going one step further here, we can also set up milestones that supports this goal. And in this example, if there's a CRM system, one of the milestones here could be that all the users should add the calendar functionality to book these appointments or to set these appointments. Another milestone could be that all these users, they should be adding like new leads into the CRM. So these are milestones on our way to the goal. And the last level here is actions. So actions we do to get these milestones happening. And that could be like a training workshop with the users on how to work with the calendar functionality or the lead or the prospecting functionality. It could also be that we set up a report and train everyone in how the report works, so people can track, are we going, or are we on the right track here to hit this goal. So this is an example, and as you can see, we go from our proposition on the market to the customer's desired outcome, to specific goals, to milestones, to actions. And I think this is where success planning is. Milestones and actions, most people have that. They do some tasks. Milestones they might or might not do, but desired outcome and goals is key to great success planning. And I think this is where sometimes we miss out. And goal, what is a goal? A goal is an objective with a time frame. So if we just have an objective and no time frame, that's not a goal. I think this is also key to remember for everyone. We need to achieve something concrete, measurable, with a time frame. Then we have a goal. And another problem we see a lot here, or I think a problem linked to not having success plans and not working with goals, is that sometimes we try to do things with the customer, but we don't get any response. And that's, I think, like a clear sign that we're not working the right way with goals. We're not working the right way with success planning. If you ever had a customer not responding, it's usually one of the three here. Either we're not seen as a priority for them, or we only mean more work for them, or there's some changes on their side that we're not aware of. So if we've been trying to contact a customer for a while and not getting any response, I would assume it's one of these things, but it's also down to not working properly with success plans and goals. And I know some people work with business review meetings, and sometimes the business review is like a reason for us calling them. Yes, I want to set up a business review, but what's in it for them? Why should they have a business review with us? That's something coming from us, but do we really add value to that? And that's also, I think, something we make up as a reason to talk to the customer, but a business review has no value in itself. And again, we need a success plan and we need a goal to get traction. And we can call the meeting business review, or we can call it whatever, but the fundamentals is that we have a plan and a goal. But we also need something else. When we try to reach a customer, as I mentioned earlier, it can also be that something has happened on their side. So we need to also deep dive into the context of the customer to understand what this goal should be. And I think everyone has tried to get going with a goal with a customer and failed. And why? Yeah, I think we missed something in the context here. So I'm going to go through a few things, and we can go in a lot more deep dive on this, of course. But since we have a limited time, I will try to keep it quite short here. Context is about understanding the customer. Sometimes we talk about customer health. This is a screenshot from Start Deliver. But of course, you can work with this in any way. But generally, context is about the commercial side of things. So our contract with the customer, of course, what plan are they on? How many users do they have? When is it up for renewal? What is the potential also? Maybe we started with one team, we started with one division, but we know we can do a lot more with this customer. It's about how they use our tool. How do they use our platform? Are they using everything or parts of it or nothing? Of course, if they don't use anything of our tool today, it's no point coming to them with like doing perhaps a new set of things. Maybe we should just restart everything, and that should be the goal. Another part is, of course, experience as well. How is the experience? Maybe they work with us, they actually use our tool, they use our software, but they're not happy with it. It's not working. We have issues, we have bugs, we have some other parts of our what we deliver is not doing the work. So we have a poor experience here. We also, of course, need to know who are we working with here. We believe joint accountability. We work together with the customer. So we need to know who they are, who on the customer side do we know all the stakeholders, or are we limited to one or a few? And then we need to see that we're doing progress. When was the last time we talked to them? When was the last time we had a conversation on goals? Are we getting the goals, or are we driving any goals, any development on this customer? And what has happened on their side? Has a super user or has a decision maker changed? Very important signals to pick up in terms of context to have a real discussion on goals and setting a success plan. So context, we need to understand a lot of things on the customer to enable us to have a discussion on what the goal should be. When we have that, we can talk about desired outcome, and we can link goals to the desired outcome. And you can put a structure around this. I think it's really good to have something that you can share internally, so it's not completely different how everyone works and interprets this. It can also help new CSMs get going with this. So put a structure in place. Of course, the desired outcome can vary a lot between customers. The goals can vary a lot, but you can have a structure around it, a framework around it that everybody can work with. So, are we done? Is that it? I think this is a start. But what I also see here is that when you talk about goals, when you talk about success plans, this can be something that is really uncomfortable for customer success managers. And this can be something we haven't done previously. We've been focused on onboarding customers, first of all, selling customers, then onboarding, and that's been it. So basically, we're introducing something new here. And previously, an onboarding is typically heavy on configuration, data setup, and that's the work we've been used to doing. So, in order to talk about goals, and in order to talk to the customer about goals, it's a new behavior. So that's something we need to change. It's also sometimes new territory, because in the sales process, they definitely talked about the customer's business side. They talked about what the customer is looking to achieve. They probably went quite deep into how the customer is working today, where they see improvements. And this is something maybe been lost in the handover, maybe it's been lost during onboarding. So it's a little bit new territory sometimes to deep dive into the customer side of the business. So that's new. And there's usually also can be new stakeholders you need to involve in this. Sometimes we get stuck with a super user or an admin person, and that's the one we talk to. Not stuck, but that's our main contact, and we lose these other people that are really important for our success with the customer. And that means usually the manager, the C-level, the executive who bought or signed the agreement in the first place, and maybe is responsible for the outcome we should achieve with our system. That's the person we usually lose a little bit track of, maybe forget to keep in the loop. And that's also something that can make goals uncomfortable. But this is something we need to work with. And if there is if people are uncomfortable, we need to remember ourselves of this. There's no point if we want to do some development on the customer side, if either it can be a turnaround where things are not going well, or it can be that we want to take the next step, we want to develop the customer. We need to have conversations around the customer's goal, the business outcome they're looking for. And that's why they became a customer in the first place. We need to remind ourselves that they are looking to improve things. And that's why it's so important to do this. So another part of the problem here is, okay, we understand this is key. We understand that we need to have these powerful conversations. We need to understand the customer's goal, but then we ask them, and the response is very commonly that they don't know. We just straight up ask them, so okay, what is your goal here in this area? What do you want to grow? What do you want to save? What do you want to what is it you're looking for here? And it's quite common that they don't actually know. So what do we do? And here we have a framework. We have a framework for how to start working with goal setting. And basically, we need to, we started with the context, that's key, that feeds into this. But we need to understand what is it the customer want to achieve. and sometimes they don't know, or they don't tell you immediately, but of course they have something. So we need to dig into that, and we want to find out how important it is, and that drives when, basically. Is this really a priority for them, or is it something else we should focus on that is more a priority for them? And the priority is depends on the why. Maybe they're doing a financial round where they're going to raise some capital. Maybe they are entering a new market, and maybe they're adding a new part to their platform. They have product A and B, and they're adding product C. Maybe that's the why. And then it's the how. So how do we get this? And then whom, basically. Who is it on the customer side? So this is the framework. We can go a lot deeper into this. I will share some templates for working with this. But what we also have to remember here, we will get objections here. So even if we work with this, we will get objections. When we start asking questions, there will be objections, or there will be people trying to avoid this topic in one way or another. So we need to work with these objections. And here we have the Impact Academy. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's our academy where we train customer success managers together with Lincoln Murphy. We have several templates there, and I just wanted to share this as one example, because getting used to talking about goals is about training yourself in this. And this is a template we've been working with, where you basically we try to figure out what the goal should be for the customer. So we go into the call or to the meeting or to the discussion with an idea, and then we put out questions that that can help us get there. And then we also try to figure out what kind of objections will come up. If we ask this type of question, what could the customer say? What kind of objection would come from them? And then, of course, we need to figure out what can we do here? How can we tackle it? How can we address it in a good way? So this is one template. Another part of the template is to iterate around this. So when was once one part of the framework, when, but which date, and how do they plan to get there, and who should be involved? So you need to work with this. I've seen so many times that first, when you start off, you feel really uncomfortable going into this. You haven't done it before. You ask the customer, and you don't get a good response, and then you put it to rest, and you go back to how you used to work with things. And the only way forward here is to really start working with it. So these are really good templates. You will, of course, you get them now, but you will get the material in the presentation as well. But I really recommend a part of becoming great at getting goals agreed with the customer is to work with this. It's a step-by-step process, even this one. So recommend you to work with this. The second part, when you have achieved the goal, or not achieved the goal, but when you have agreed with the customer on a goal on their side, I think it's really key to see this as the customer's goal that we work together to achieve. So it's no point us pushing a goal to them. It's the goal should come in a discussion together with the customer. So the customer owns the goal. And then it's great to be able to share this and to talk about this. Compared to what I mentioned earlier, is when we set up a goal with a customer, we want to expand on this customer 20%. That's no interest at all from the customer side. But if we can find a goal that the customer wants to achieve, and we are here together to do that, this is an example how you can share this in a workspace together with the customer. But you can of course do this in many ways. I think it's that puts even more power to working with success plans and setting goals together with the customer. Another good thing when you get going with success plans is that you can start measure this, of course. You can start measuring how many goals do we activate, or how many goals do we achieve. It's a really great measurement to see what happens after onboarding. because usually we can measure onboarding, we can measure time to first value, but how do we measure how good we are on developing the customer base after onboarding? And goal achievement is a really great way to track this. And it's also something you could put into a KPI for a customer success manager. How many goals do we achieve on our, or if it's quarterly or annually or whatever the time frame? I think it's a really good way also to measure customer success manager and how they are performing. So working with success plans is also a great way to manage the team and to get the right behavior from a customer success manager. Summarizing, I see we have a few questions. I will take those as well. But in summary, success plans are really key for expansion, adoption, and fixing churn. As I mentioned, net revenue retention, success plans have a direct impact on that. And success plan, I think I would like to see it as it's about achieving the customer's goal together. So finding out what the goal is, making sure it's measurable and it has a time frame, and then working together with the customer on achieving it. And the last thing I would say is also really important here. It's that success plans, if we don't have like 60% net revenue retention, because then we probably won't be around for very long. Success plan will never stop. I mean, you should always do a new thing with the customer. So this is in a nutshell what success plan is all about. I will take some Q&A. So one question here: if we would 1 year from now explain the success of our journey to management team, peers in the industry, what would the story include to make you proud? I'm not sure if that was a question, but I think, yeah, it's a great way also to talk to the customers. This is our way of working. This is our way of the success plan could be something we talk to the customer about. This is how we after onboarding, after you have reached this part in our journey together, we will start talking about this part. We want to achieve more with you. This is how we set it up, and to have a good structure around that. I mean, that's something the customer will be really appreciative of course. So I think that's a good one. Another question: is there a difference between customer success and customer service? Yeah. Great question. I think customer success, I mean, there's so many ways to talk about customer success. It's a way of working. It's a way of thinking of things. Customer service, I think, has been that's been around for longer as a concept. Customer success is a newer concept where you put focus on what is the customer getting from us, whereas service can be, yeah, we respond to whatever they want. But of course they're linked and many overlaps, but in general customer success is being more proactive, being more focused around what the customer wants to achieve, what we've been talking about today basically, whereas service is more reactive support, fixing problems. In general, that's how it is. How do you think the customer success department can stand out among the teams? Great question. And I think this is sometimes a challenge because there's a lot of strong voices, maybe from sales, engineering, other departments. And I think sometimes customer success needs to show more what they do in reports, in showing how important, for instance, what we talked about today, how this improves health of the customer, which in turn improve retention. So one part, I think, is to visualize and in numbers and in data how important the work we do in customer success is. I think that's something we can do. We can also bring other things from customer success. So we can bring in referrals. We can bring in people who can give testimonials. We can use our knowledge and our relationship with the customers and show all the benefits the whole company can get from that. But great question. I think it's important to sometimes for the customer success department to show, I would say, especially show how key their work is. One more question. Great. What's my opinion on charging for customer success programs? And that sense, I mean, I think the question is around charging for customer success services, basically. I think this is really, I think most companies have this question or have this issue or needs to deal with it. And I would say two things on that. Number one, include services, but put a cap on it. So yes, we have free onboarding, but it's up to 8 hours because we know from our experience that that's enough. And the other part is that if you have a product that needs services or that the customer benefits a lot from services, don't be afraid of putting a price on that and selling those non-recurring services, because that's a real driver also for the recurring revenue. I've seen this many times that you've been giving it away, but when you started charging for it, the customer actually appreciates it more, is happy to pay for it, and they actually become a happier customer by you charging for some parts of your service. So I hope that answered that question. Great. A few more questions. Can you mention any tools you worked with before that can help in the efficiency of customer success activities? I mean, of course, we have Start Deliver, which is our tool, which we have developed for customer success managers. So, I mean, our product is, of course, built around all these things and give you an overview, give you signals, give you the context on the customer, help you do these customer success plans, drive the right actions. So, of course, I'm not completely unbiased there, but that's a tool I would, of course, recommend you to check out. What's the difference between a customer success manager and an account manager? Yeah, that's a good one as well. Typically, account manager is more a sales-oriented employee, whereas the customer success manager is more around making sure the customer is using, getting value, developing, and with us. That's the typical, I would say, like if you typically separate those, but they can overlap, and sometimes these are just titles. It's more about how you work and what's the purpose of your work. So, and sometimes this customer success manager is 100% responsible for renewals, upgrades, and expansion. So they can be more like an account manager as well. Can we request a demo from your company? Yes, of course you can. Happy to do it. We'll get back to you. Last question. If you're starting a completely fresh CSM department with only 2 people, what's the most important first step in your mind? I would say the most important first step is to, or if these people are coming in brand new, or are these people transitioning from support? That's one part to understand. If they're transitioning from support, we need to be very clear on what, so they don't get stuck in support, and we believe we're doing customer success work. In the best way, I would say, is to add more people. So you have support, and you now add 2 more people. And I would say the most important thing here is to be clear on why are they there. And that, my opinion there is that they should be doing proactive work. So they should be looking at the customers, identifying who is doing well, who is not doing well, and have a clear action plan every day, every week on how to improve the ones probably that's not doing well, and look at these next steps, success plans for the ones that are doing quite well, but we know they can do more. So proactive work, basically, I would say, is the most important thing to start with. And I would say you need to look at data here, because gut feel, people will tell you these are doing well, but if you look at data, you will see how they're actually doing. Awesome. With all these questions, I think that's great. And I just wanted to share with you also, we have on January 17th, we have another round of customer success manager training with the Impact Academy together with Lincoln Murphy. This is something you can do in parallel with your normal job. It's really great content. It's really great material templates, and you work with your own customers. So you will get a certificate, so you can have that on LinkedIn and share and so on. So if you want to enhance your customer success management skills and take next steps in your career, look into this program. It starts in January, and it's 5 weeks, so you will get a lot out of it. So that's my last thing for today. Thanks for joining. It's been great, and feel free to keep asking questions after the webinar as well.